Hey there, everybody. Good to be with you again. I tell you, that game this morning really was a doozy, and I brought up during that game a question that I think it really is pertinent to anybody who wants to do one of these replays. The question is simply this: is what do you do with defensive substitutions, right? How realistic do you need to make it? How do you decide who to bring in and when? This is a difficult thing to do even if you're playing against a computer manager. It depends upon the simulation you're using. Generally, the more modern simulations, the ones that are more famous, Diamond Mine Baseball, Action PC, and OOTP, do a very good job of making these substitutions. I don't know about Strat-O-Matic and I don't know about Replay because I haven't actually really played those yet. I do know that if you play earlier games, and including games like Baseball for Windows, it might be kind of questionable. You might need to look at what your computer manager is doing, what kind of decisions they're making, and stuff like that. But I mean, there really is a good question about this, which is, does it make a huge difference, how good or how bad your infielder is? And I mean, what do you do? How do you handle this the situations that come up? So ideally, I think what you want to do in the late innings is you want to put in your better defensive players, especially if you're trying to hold on to a lead, or I would say also if the game is close and you're trying to prevent the opposition from scoring. So we go back to this game that we just finished playing, and I still have this open up here. So we'll go ahead to this Diamond Mine view, put me here on the left side again. The question for the Red Sox, as you'll recall, I mentioned at the top of the 10th inning, was whether we wanted to take Parnell out or not. I mean, he'd gone 9 innings and started to falter there in the top of the 10th. If you don't know about this, I'll show it to you. You can get this cool game log that will tell you everything that happened. He gave up this single to Lou Boudreau and then walked to Larry Doby, and that's when I thought that there might be a problem. And remember, I left him in to pitch to Joe Gordon, who took him the distance, really got him tired, and then afterwards Mickey Vernon got that double, and that was really all she wrote. The question here was, should I have taken him out right at this point instead? And the reason why this was a big question, as you'll recall, is because we had Billy Hitchcock due up next. Now, I mean, Hitchcock is not exactly the best defensive first baseman in the world. I'll show you something that's... let's see if we can find it here. Defense, yeah, that's pretty cool here, which is you can take a look at all of the defensive players on your team in Diamond Mine at a glance. Now, we're looking at the Indians, right? Looking at the wrong team. We'll go ahead and look at the Red Sox here and sort of have an idea of what we could do. I guess I didn't fully realize, but we could always have Billy Goodman start at first base instead of Hitchcock, and we can take a closer look at this. I know that we're looking at the difference between a left-handed hitter and a right-handed hitter and a whole bunch of other things. To be honest with you, you know this from other videos I've done, I don't really put that much stock into most of that stuff anyway. I don't worry too much about the lefty-righty matchup. I might want to consider, though, no longer starting Hitchcock and starting Goodman instead, who's actually been playing pretty well, assuming that he's actually available. This is the other thing, right, which is where this might not fully reflect who's actually on the roster today. Or it might. I mean, I don't know. It says here that he's available, so who knows? This is what happens when you try to go quickly. But it's a good question, right? Which is, when you hit the late innings, who do you make the change for? Who do you put in? Who do you take out? Exactly what do you do? I'll tell you that it becomes difficult when it comes to outfielders because so many outfielders will have ratings at all 3 positions. Some will, some won't. Alzarilla is another guy that we probably should put in this lineup somehow. I don't know how they did this in real life. Probably take away Tommy O'Brien is what I'm guessing. And the other one to worry about as well is the catcher position, right? Which is where there's probably a good argument for it as the game goes along, taking Bertie Tebbetts out and instead putting Matt Batts in. So it's an idea. It's something that we can look at. Matt Batts, of course. I've talked a lot about Matt Batts over time because I really kind of enjoy him as a player and know so much about him after doing some research on him. Now, you'll have to excuse me. I'm looking around here to see if there isn't a help page. There is right here. When we look at the defensive ratings, I'm trying to remember. I'm not going to remember this off the top of my head exactly what the slash rating stands for. I think that the slash rating is a look at the error rate. Yeah, that's what this is. This rating is a percentage indicating how this player's error rate compares to the average fielder at his position. A rating of 100 means the player is average. Player who makes 50% as many errors as his peers is rated 50. Someone who makes twice as many errors as his peers is rated 200. That's one of the problems, right? You have to keep in mind, okay, so lower numbers are better. You want the guy with the lower number here rather than the higher number. So yeah, Billy Goodman probably should be starting. And then the first rating, I think, is the range rating, if I remember right, something like that. In fact, we could look that up too if we wanted to. I mean, so it is. Anyway, it gives you sort of an idea. Diamond Mine is nice in this sense, and that this really does make a difference. I'll tell you that games like APBA, Skeetersoft, all those APBA type derivative games, the fielding is not really that well developed. So what I'm thinking about is a situation where you're playing with the 86 Red Sox, and famously you're thinking, do we take Bill Buckner out in the late innings or not? If you're playing APBA, you probably don't want to because it's not going to make that much of a difference, honestly. It might make a little bit of a difference, but, the first baseman error number will come up like once in the blue moon, right? But if you're playing Diamond Mine, it really might because it comes up every single time the ball's hit to him. So another thing to keep in mind, right? If you're playing Diamond Mine, Action PC, OOTP, any of these like computer-only type games especially, you want to make sure that you have some sort of plan. But it's a hard thing to plan for. It's a hard thing to figure out. I mean, I'll tell you, the real difficulty here is for those of us who insist pig-headedly on playing every single game, because it's hard to do this for every single team. I mean, even if it's only 16 teams, after a while, you start to forget stuff where players will be traded and you'll be like me, you'll lose track of it and be like, oh, wait, it's Saturday already. We'll wait for the Sunday game and then we'll take a look at the lineup again and try to get Goodman in there, get rid of this Hitchcock guy who can't hit, and then try to get Alzarilla in there. That's the reason why they traded for him. So anyway, there you go. That's a little bit of sort of what's on my mind. I hope that you enjoyed this game this morning. If you didn't watch it, you should go back and watch it. That was a classic, and we'll talk with you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.